Hey, welcome to Tech Tuesdays. This is Peter Su. I'm from Alphalogix, and this week we're going to be looking at building internal applications. So, when we talk about internal applications, we're looking at workflows and what we can actually build to help us in our daily lives. So, for me, I've been subscribed to Claude. So I've been subscribed to Claude for roughly about 2 months now, and I've just been using the Pro plan. But for me, I've I've exceeded all my models, and it's now using my usage credits. So I've been heavily using Claude Pro for quite a lot of what we're doing. So for me, I've been actually building internal applications. So for me, um, I'm not a coder. I have no experience in coding. I've been in IT for about almost 20 years now, and coding has never been something that I've actually done. So for me, building these internal applications is not something that is my strong suit, yet I've worked in large organizations, private and public, and I've seen applications to come through, how they integrate, how they work. But in the tech industry, there's so many applications that overlap each other. Uh, and we have to adopt those applications within our workflows and daily duties and tasks. And I thought to myself, wait, why can't I just do that for my own business? Right? I've got processes, I've got things that I need to build, but I don't want to pay someone else to do it. Right? I want to build it myself because I understand my business, so I know exactly what my shortfalls are. So what I did was I thought, let's try building with Claude. And what we've done is I looked at my sales journey and my sales process and how that actually creates my prospects when they come through. How can I have a tool that allows me to quote or even estimate the cost of this engagement with them, right? And for me, as a business IT owner, we have the standard CapEx, which is capital expenditure, and OpEx, which is operational expenditure, right? So for us, we need to quote pricing for our jobs. We also need to quote pricing for our operational monthly cost to the customer. So what I've done was I actually built an application that helps me see what the OpEx level of engagement would be for my prospect, but also have the CapEx layer associated to so that I can also quote for that. Now, what I've done is I've actually built it with Claude, um, and I started hosting it on my website. Now, it is under a site that I currently have. Yet I have set up single sign-ons and authentication to my domain. So this is something that I built with Claude. Quite There's some mouse interactive, little buttons and things like that I can do, and these are all the portals that I currently use for my staff. Now I have single signed on to my actual application, but if I attempt to do this on another browser that isn't signed in as myself, then it will ask me to sign in with an account. So if I, let's just say, for example, use a separate account, you know, let's go. Uh, let's just use something that's not in my tenant. I'm just going to use. You can see here that there's no authority. and you won't be able to log in unless it's your own Microsoft 365 tenant that we've built. So it's an internal authentication. So this is how we build things, right? We do it with security first. We look at the security layer to ensure that we are safe before we even deploy something out. Because over time, when you don't secure something, this is where hackers will come and infiltrate and look for things to get you. But for me, I built this app with Claude, you know, logged in as myself. I managed to get a theme going. I can use, the dark theme or a light theme. But what we've done is we actually looked at how we're going to build applications, right? For me, I'm an MSP, so I've got an OpEx, right? These numbers are all dummy numbers, but it's used to help me with the calculations. This actual site in itself is just a dummy site that I put these numbers in there. But you can see here that, for example, I am an MSP. So for me, I actually have to quote how much support I have to provide for our customers on a monthly basis, right? So for me, I can literally say, hey, I've got a new company that I want to onboard. They've got 10 users. So 10 users, you can see here that I can already tell that this prospect that's already the first cost that we can add in there. Now they can have other things as workstation support. So, I can also put that in as well. As they keep growing, you can keep adding more and more objects in here. Now, this is keep in mind that this is all editable. I can add and remove things according to whatever I want into my support service. We also looked at, so what about licensing? So, we got to license these individuals. So potentially, we thought, okay, these are some of the licenses that we actually sell on a standard support basis, for example. And, we just added those in. Now, we've also added in custom ones that we can just add, for example, um, you know, um, uh, Strike, Falcon, or whatever applications that you actually sell for the customer. And then the cost, I don't know, I'm just going to say $25 per month, right? So you can see here that I've already added this entry into this licensing, and I can quote for this as well. So 10 users, great. This also, you can see here that their calculations have already been added to here. And I thought, okay, what about telephony? We also have other levels of engagement with the customer. Great, we can add that in. We can also have, for example, add-on applications. So this, for sure, I'll put it in the wrong place, but Falcon that might not be sitting in the Microsoft 365, but it could be in the add-on applications. So for that, we added this on top. Now, some of these engagements, it is OpEx, right? So there could be a CapEx layer, which is the first setup that you have to do with the customer. And I thought, okay, maybe they need hard phones. For your business, it could be something else like, I need to buy a particular server or hardware or things like that. So for us, we just thought, okay, let's add that hardware on top of that. Okay, 10 users, great. This is a once-off cost. Yeah, so you can see here that's a once-off CapEx. So it also adds the tax and our GST tax into the equation, and you can see here that this is the actual cost of the engagement for this individual, this company that we can do. Now, what we also thought was, hey, some of these costs do change at times, and we have to quote for them. So I added in a edit button that I can change and edit whatever I like of these software. So I must have quoted incorrectly of that site. So cool. I've edited to this this license, and you can see it through here. Now, and I kept thinking to myself, okay, what can we actually? We added a percentage of discounts as well. So you can give some of your mates rates, for example, and this also factors in your monthly discounts that you can apply. Now, we thought, okay, this is great. Now we can actually go and quote and send this off. So you can either export it to a CSV or print it off. which we can do, which is great, right? And we can also print this off to a PDF uh, or a printer or whatever you like, and they can go straight as a quotation, right? Nice, quick, simple. We thought, we need more better data. So in this, I actually built a 5-year cost outlook, right? It actually tells me, I can advise a customer, your first year is going to cost you about X amount, and over the next 5 years, this is what will cost over time, if you engage with us, right? And then this line here that we've actually created was, it is a cost of ownership over the course of 5 years, and this is what they'll have to pay. So this is quite great. The customer can actually see what their actual cost would be over the cost of X amount of years for that engagement with us. And we thought, oh, what about CPI index of 3%? Might have, we thought, okay, maybe that's might have to bake that into into the contract in itself. So over time, you can actually see here that we've catered for that too. So in our head, we thought this is a tool that we can use to price matrix potential customers to come through and go, hey, I need this, and that's for my business, right? Right, and we built this with Claude. The calculations already there. It's very, very quick and simple, right? And we thought to ourselves, okay, what are the next tools that we can look at? Potentially we've got projects that we work on. So for me, we have projects, project capexes that we have to estimate for. An engagement can last for a month to 2 to 6 to 12 months, but we need to understand the level of what is involved with resources. So again, went back to the drawing board. We thought, right, how do we quote for this? So I started building a CapEx estimator for WBS, which is work breakdown structure. It helped me with, I've used this methodology with what we do in project work for many, many customers of how we deliver something, right? Again, these numbers are all made up. Please take it as a grain of salt that we're just adding this, but you can see here that what we've done in this work breakdown structure is we got all of our roles, right? For me, it's in IT, so we've got field engineers, we've got you know you got infrastructure, we've got project managers, coordinators, trainers, things like that. For your business, there's going to be a whole bunch, but we added all that in there as well. But you also put in a customer, right? Because a customer should also be fitted into your plan. They need to be engaged. We need to understand what the implications are. So they have to be fitted into your project. So what we did was actually built up kind of like a project plan in itself, and we can actually see what the cost would be for what we do in a deliverable, right? Could be construction, could be engineering, it could be IT projects but because I'm an IT project, right? That's what we do every day. So, we can, for example, we've added in, project manager for certain roles like this. We also go, oh, okay, what if we need, some other resources associated? So cool, I'm just going to add these in, add the hours of requirement, but we can start seeing here that the cost of what the rate per day rate of that individual is, and this is the cost associated to it. But when you start adding all these up, we can start seeing what are the costs for how many people are required for this project, and is this the cost of the engineer? Great. So we can see here that this is how many days of effort required for this engineer, and this is the cost that's going to be allocated to that. So we thought, okay, let's roll these up, because it's going to be it's easier to either quote for half days and full days. But you can start seeing here that, okay, if we quote for full days, perfect, right? Perfect that we can just add all these in. And you can start seeing same thing as a summary in the calculator. all these just add up, and we can add extra tasks if we need to. And over time, it's like a project plan that we built, right? So we've got design, we had templates, so you can see here that we can build at one site, the customer UAT. So they have to test. We have to figure out if it's exactly built to what they need. We need training. We can add customers into training as well. uh, when we started looking at service enablement. So how do we, once the project's completed, we enable the service and the support for that site or the customer or the project. Then we looked at, okay, what about, a lot of these we need project management and technical reassurance for each of these certain sections. So we added that in as a percentage, and it started calculating, if a project manager is required for these certain tiles, we add those, and we put most of that in. Over time, you can see here that we've just added a project wrap up, so we need to do a bunch of these others. So you can see how beneficial and how thoughtful we created this tool that helped us. So a lot of what we do is we've got project engagements, right? So here we can see that, again, all this data is all made up. Nothing is true. Most of it is just made up so we can see what can it look like. So, if I was to do a telephony migration, for example, which is telephones, right? So we can just add all this up and it clears all the fields. And you can start seeing here that this is, some of the engagements that we require for getting that design ready, building for one site or multiple sites, right? We could potentially have projects that scale out to 5, 6, 20 sites. And we thought, hey, site name, Queensland, Chadstone, So you can see that we've added that site to New South Wales, Burwood, right? So when we started adding these sites, we could see that the builds can look at exactly what it will cost to do that particular project for that specific site. And then we added all this, the UATs and then the service enablements to make them operational, right? And once all these are completed, then we've got this project wrap up. The very interesting thing that we've done is that we managed to, since this entire thing was built, I'm going to export it to XML. So XML now allows me to go, hey, I've got project desktop and I really want to see my project in full scale in project desktop. So I said, cool. Let's build it all into project desktop for you. So that project that we just looked at just then is now exported to a proper project desktop view. It has all the resource names. It's got everything that we've associated to. And we can look at the costings of all these, right? So you can start adding all this up to it. Great little tool. And we said, hey, let's eval the estimation. So still work in progress, but it is something that we're working towards to get this a little bit better. But you can easily set this up. You can extract it to an Excel spreadsheet. So you can see all the WBS breakdowns for all the requirements, start dates, end dates, things like that, and the total cost at the end. So, that's really great. And printing, this could literally be your quotation for printing, what's agreed. But yes, look, it is my journey on using Claude to build our applications. And it's a journey that I'm literally going into a rabbit hole in, but I'm really enjoying myself doing this. But what we've done is that I'm going to give you guys a free calculator that you could use. It is under msp.alphalogix.com.au. I'll put it on the chat. You can use this freely for yourself and get your estimations in. So yeah, thank you. Look, it's great. Looking forward to seeing you in our next episode. But yes, there are going to be extra parts of our journey with Claude and how we're building our tools to help facilitate a lot of our operations. But yeah, thank you so much for your time. Take care. See you next week.